let's continue with golf. Another great winning week for Craig last week. I don't know, the odds were 33, if I remember correct?
Yes, on the Senior British Open, we found a guy that was making his senior debut. He'd been on the American Tour, Doug Barron. He was a regular on the PGA Tour, and then he failed a drug test about 10 years ago. But he had been playing well on some of the minor tours. One of my friends on Twitter, Albatross Bombs, he told me about some of the form he was producing, and yeah, he just looked like a bit of a flyer, really. He was a bigger price than he should have been, and he produced, luckily, so that was good.
He produced for us to have another amazing week in golf. Now we are in Wydnham Championship, and you have some more great odds for us at 31, at 56, at 101. Again, we are getting used with your betting strategy here. But the most I love the place markets here, because this is what I follow the most. Yeah, I put a small unit, not a unit, an entire unit, 10% from a unit on the recommended bets on the long shots there for the winning market, but I put more on the place markets there. And please tell us your approach for this tournament and your top tips.
Right, well, the Wyndham Championship, it finishes the season, and the players, they are trying to get in the top 125 to retain their playing privileges on tour, not only to get in next week's event, but to get in next season. So some players on the cut-off are under a lot of pressure, and this venue is a Donald Ross design. The winning score is always low, always about 20 under, sometimes even 22 under. And I've gone for Patrick Reed that won the Masters last season. He's won here once. He saw off Jordan Spieth down the stretch. I think he's about 20 to 25. And he has just been teetering on the brink with his form the last few weeks. He played well at the British Open, well at the 3M. Since about the US Open, his form has consolidated into some nice consistency, and coming back to a venue he's won at, he'll be feeling good, and if the putter works for him, he'll have every chance. Then we have Cameron Smith, an Australian who's won the Australian PGA the last 2 years. He's been earning good money on the United States PGA Tour, but he's yet to win. He's yet to win on the PGA Tour, and he's done everything but win. But actually, from about February or March until the British Open, he's been really in a slump. British Open, he finished 20th. Last week at the FedEx, I think he finished about 11th. And he's had 2 top 20 finishes here, so he likes it here. So he's trending towards a nice bet. And I would, if anyone can get 8 places each way, I would take anything above 33 on him. And then the last one is my outsider, Doc Redman. People will say, why have I tipped him? Well, his one good performance this season was on a Donald Ross design course. He was second a few starts ago. Very often players that fits their eye to play on the same designers courses, they tend to play well. And he's shown the ability to go low and streaky with lots of birdies. He finished 20th in the British Open. First time over to the links course. That was very impressive. And, you know, he opened at 150 this week. I mean, I nibbled away at that. And he's down to about 90 or 100 now, but it's worth an each-way bet. So Doc Redman is worth just a small each-way bet for people. He's a young man trying to make his way on the tour. I like to support youngsters that are going to win tournaments, because the older players I save for my place model. And
tell me why you're not playing usually the first round leader, I've never seen you playing the first one, the first round leader. In none of your articles, I've seen you doing that bet.
Oh well, I will throw a couple in for you, definitely. Sometimes it's a case of kind of trimming them down. But I do like a first round leader tomorrow. It's funny you should say that. Tom Hogue, he has been in the top 5 here on first round twice. He started last week like a train. He's coming into form. Tom Hogue, 125 each way. That is a good bet tomorrow. I like it. I've had a nice bet on that myself. Yes, I will. I'll put a few in my articles in future. I'll mix a couple in for you, and when I like them. He's got an early tea time as well.
Tell me about Doc Redman. You have him at 100 to 1 to win each way, but why not to bet to finish in top 20 at 4.5 with Bet365? Why not to bet to finish in top 10 at 10 with Coral here? I think that these are very, very good set of odds. If not to risk so much at 100 to 1 each way, in top 20 at 4.5 makes a great number.
Well, I can give you my logic for it. I'm not sure it's everyone's logic, but my logic for it is that Doc Redman is a new player to the tour, and new players are more comfortable winning than seasoned professionals, and they tend to be more aggressive. And already he's had 2 second-place finishes this season. So because of their aggression, they tend to be all or nothing. So you either have them in the top 5 contending to win, or you have them out down the bottom of the field. And so I try and exploit that from betting, and the fact that he's not really as yet a proven consistent performer. So whereas, just for argument's sake, to use an example, if I go over to my place model, I put up Billy Haas, who's a really consistent player here. I think he's had 7 top 30 finishes, 4 top 10 finishes. And he's now getting to a stage in his life where he's not won for a few years. He has been a winner, but winning becomes more difficult. Okay. But the thing is, they are more professional at seeing the 4 rounds out and getting the score together, because as a professional gets older, he's probably thinking less about winning tournaments and more about earning a living. So that kind of aggression goes out of their game, and a little bit of belief when they become in contention. So I try to exploit that from my betting angles. The fact that my players I've got this week, Patrick Reed won the Masters last week. Cameron Smith and Doc Redman are both want to win. They've not won on the PGA Tour yet, but they are young men and they are improving rapidly. And then, you go over to the play side of things, where you've got more journeyman players that play every year, like Ryan Armour and Billy Haas, the players that don't necessarily find winning very comfortable or easy, but they are very consistent, and you can actually rely on them producing a little bit more consistently than, say, Doc Redman.
One of the players that you really like, I've seen him in many of your articles since you started with us over at oddsmarket.com, is John Chin. I've seen him, I don't know, 3-4 more times so far. What about him? Top 10 at 51. Why?
I love it.
Why should we have a punt on that?
Well, I mean, it's just bookmakers being bookmakers. He's had a poor season, but it is his first season on the PGA Tour. He's only just 30. For some golf professionals, it's a slow thing, their career. So the last 2 weeks of the season, there's been a real palpable improvement. He finished, I think, 38th at Barracuda. And then, Barbasol. And then last week at Barracuda, he came 3rd. So the thing is, he likes courses where it's not too tough, where there's plenty of birdies and you're going to go low. And he's so far back in the rankings, he's under no pressure. He can almost just play attacking at the game. And I get the impression he's playing well. So I'm getting 50 to 1, about the same bet that won last week when he finished 3rd. In actual fact, if you wanted to go top 5, you get 100 to 1. So in a way, the bookmakers really shouldn't be giving 50-1 on a guy that's on a similar test this week, placing again. So that's very much
just
price relative.
He has just because he has a bad season, right?
Yeah, and he's in form now, so he's feeling good. He'll have got probably $200,000 or $300,000 in his pocket last week, more than he's ever won, and he'll be feeling cock a hoop, a bit like we spoke about Jan Bingtao in the snooker. He'll be feeling at the peak of his powers for his standards. So he's kind of free rolling this week, and yeah, it could be nothing, but equally, if he plays as well last week, you'll end up with a 50-1 winner. So it's pretty. It's an easy bet.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Tell us your favorite bet for this tournament. Do you have a top 10 finish, a top 20 finish? I don't know, each way winner, but a safer one. Give us a safer one, for God's sake.
Well, I nearly put it because on my article I put Billy Haas for a top 10 finish because most of the bookies were betting at 12, and you know, I think he's got about a 30% record of making the top 10 at Wyndham. But if you really wanted to play it safe with him, you could actually take the top 20 and take it down and get another 10 places and go with Bet365 or whatever firm you want to go with. I think 4-1, 5-1 is easily available. And, you know, I think that would be my idea of safe bet. It's been quite an interesting story with him, if people read my article, where he's coming back from a very serious car crash last year. And he was a high-class player. And, you know, the last 2 weeks has shown a little bit of form. And he's coming to a venue he really likes. So it looks a perfect bet for people to have a little banker if they want a top 20 finish, Alex.
On chat with us, Natalie, she's back from holidays. We are very, very happy to have her back. And she's preparing for a huge season. Now she's preparing some graphics for the new season. You guys will see another face starting next week for us at Odds Market. Also, Eric, who is writing Formula One and the MotoGP, is with us on chat. And thank you, Craig, very much for delivering snooker and golf tips also for this week. See you next week. Enjoy your weekend, let's say, because you have a longer weekend than normal. You're starting tomorrow. Best of luck with your bets, and thank you once again for your incredible knowledge and for your great betting tips week in and week out. That's it for today with Craig. He will be back next week with some more betting tips for the two sports.